Hello lovely viewers, welcome to my channel. I am Anna, hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The Golden Bachelor Gerry Turner is weighing in on Mel Owen's turn as the star of the show, saying it's fair game to call out the new guy for wanting to ditch women over a certain age. Gerry makes it clear to TMZ that Mel's own 45 to 60 age limit window and his intention to immediately axe anyone older is a bad look, and he's urging the 66-year-old to be more open-minded about age and all the possibilities that can come out of it. The TV star reflects on his own Golden Bachelor days, saying producers told him to stay receptive when he asked for women 65 and up. They promised gems on both ends of the age spectrum, and turns out they were right. He tells us that looking back at his season, having an age cutoff would have been a huge mistake. He would have missed out on amazing connections and friendships with incredible women. Gerry also claps back at the former NFL star's comments on the Go Blue podcast, where Mel said he's not into fake hips and wigs. Gerry's not having it, saying that stuff shouldn't matter. He plays pickleball with someone rocking a fake hip, and they still smoke him on the court. At the end of the day, Gerry's message is simple. Age shouldn't be a deal breaker, or even a headline. If there's real chemistry, the number can come later, and he'd hate to see Mel miss out on something great just because of a birth date. Gerry Turner is opening up about his divorce from Teresa Nist and a life-changing diagnosis. From his Indiana home, the Golden Bachelor alum, 72, calls people over Zoom. Dressed in a suit and tie, Turner is ready to share new details for the first time about his shocking breakup from Nist, 71. On the inaugural season of the ABC dating show, Turner and Nist ended their journey by getting engaged during the finale episode, which aired in November 2023. A few months later, the two made their love official when they tied the knot during a live televised wedding special in January 2024. But after just 3 months of marriage, the newlyweds announced their decision to divorce during a joint interview on Good Morning America, which aired on April 12, 2024, the same day Turner officially filed. Turner, who lives 3 states away from Nist's New Jersey, said at the time that the distance had proved to be a problem, and the two couldn't settle on a place to live together. They were both dedicated to their families and unwilling to leave them behind. There's a topic that I haven't wanted to talk about until now, he tells People Now, sharing how getting involved with various charities and fundraisers has inspired him to open up. I think it's time, also because it probably will clear up a lot of mystery around what happened back in February, March, and April. As Teresa and I were trying very hard to find our lifestyle and where we were going to live and how we were going to make our life work, I was unfortunately diagnosed with cancer, he reveals. 3 years ago, Turner got a shoulder injury when someone knocked him over while he was teaching a pickleball class. At the time, he didn't have time to go to an orthopedic surgeon, and when the show came along, his life got busier. Finally, I got around to going to the doctor, and the orthopedic surgeon said, "Yeah, Gerry, there's not much we can do for your shoulder, but there are some unusual blood markers here," he recalls. And so an orthopedic surgeon went to my family doctor. My family doctor referred me to an oncologist, and now I'm working with a hematology oncology group in Fort Wayne. Turner was diagnosed with a slow-growing bone marrow cancer with a really long name called Waldenström's macroglobulinemia, he says. According to the Mayo Clinic, the disease changes white blood cells into cancer cells and builds up in the bone marrow, the spongy material inside the bones where blood cells are made. Unfortunately, there's no cure for it. So that weighs heavily in every decision I make, he says of the diagnosis. It was like 10 tons of concrete were just dropped on me. And I was a bit in denial for a while. I didn't want to admit to it. Discovering his cancer was more of a process, rather than an event, he says. The first wave of information he received from his oncologist was that he had a blood disorder, though he acknowledges he pretty much knew it would be cancer. After sharing his blood disorder with Nist in February, Turner went in for additional testing, including a bone marrow biopsy, some weeks later, and his diagnosis became more definitive. In mid-March, he decided to tell her what I knew, and I explained the situation to her. Certainly, it was hard for me, he says of revealing his diagnosis to his then-wife. But the conversation was brief, and I think she was a little bit awestruck by the news. So understandable. I wanted my life to continue on as normal as possible, and that led me to believing that as normal as possible more meant spending time with my family, my 2 daughters, my 2 son-in-laws, my granddaughters, he explains. And the importance of finding the way with Teresa was still there, but it became less of a priority. The retired restaurateur noted that the judgments made about his separation were unfair to the now exes. When you are hit with that kind of news and the shock wears off after a few days or a few weeks and you regroup and you realize what's important to you, that's where you start to move forward, he continues. And I hope that people understand in retrospect now that that had a huge bearing on my decisions, and I think probably Teresa's as well. Hopefully they'll look at things a little bit differently, that maybe it wasn't quite a rash, fast decision that people thought. That there was something else going on, he adds of fans. Despite his diagnosis, Turner says he has no plans to say no to anything and has adopted Tim McGraw's "Live Like You Were Dying" as his new philosophy. "I'm going to pack as much fun as I possibly can into my life and enjoy every moment. And when I'm gone, but I'm not going to have regrets," he says earnestly. Gerry Turner and new girlfriend Lana's relationship has taken off, literally. The former Golden Bachelor, 73, tells people that he and Lana have traveled somewhere new pretty much every weekend since they started dating in March, most recently flying to North Carolina to meet her parents. The first trip was to the Big Ten men's basketball tournament, and then we went to a volleyball tournament in Indianapolis area, and then we went to St. Louis, Turner shares. "We went to a St. Louis Cardinals baseball game, and now this trip to Charlotte, and that's all in the first 60 days. Her level of adventure and mine are very similar. In July, they'll travel across the pond to go to Wimbledon in London and explore Paris. We talked about it for a couple weeks and we decided to pull the trigger, so we're going," Turner shares. But the new couple also enjoys time at home in Indiana, where the retired educator lives about 20 minutes from Turner's youngest daughter. "We've hit a bucket of golf balls and we've walked the Monon Trail," Turner says of how he and Lana have passed the time. "And the nice part there is, from her house to the town of Carmel, where there's a couple of restaurants, is about 3.5 to 4 miles. So we walk 3.5 or 4 miles, have a beer and an appetizer, walk 3 or 4 miles back. That fills up an afternoon pretty well. Typically, when he and Lana hit up a restaurant, we'll look at a dessert menu before we look at a dinner menu," Turner says, adding that they're both ridiculously addicted to desserts. The reality star expects he and Lana will be spending more time at his lake house as the weather starts to warm up, but they've also been looking at properties to share together down the line. "We've done a little bit of the fantasy house shopping, which has been nice, trying to figure out if at some point we decide we want to buy a house together, if our styles and our tastes are the same," Turner says. And it turns out, yeah, they're pretty much the same. As for what the future holds for the duo, who have both been married twice before, Turner says, "I don't know that either of us necessarily would be looking to get married, but we've also said that's not off the table." The TV personality adds that he and Lana have come to the comfortable agreement that we both want a long-term, committed, permanent relationship, and they feel like we're in that now. After the divorce, Turner says he wanted to focus on dating women who lived 2 hours or less from him. "I wanted to find someone who, worst-case scenario, I could travel 2 hours and see, or that she could travel 2 hours to be with me at my house," he explains. And that's mission accomplished with Lana. In fact, Lana living in Indiana played a big role in what drew Turner to her after she messaged him on Facebook, although the retired restaurateur admits he missed her first message since he receives so many these days. "I ignore most of it, knowing that so many people will send a Facebook message and they're 100 or 1,000 miles away. That was a contributing factor on how I missed her first message," Turner says. But once he read that she's an Indiana girl who grew up about 20 minutes from where Turner lives, "I instantly have connected her to having the Midwest values and perspective on things," he says. And it turns out, it was exactly right. Turner says his and Lana's sense of humor and Midwest background all fit very nicely. "There's a feeling of comfort. There's a feeling of peace," he continues. "I really feel like I can be myself around Lana, and it's not a problem. There's a lot of those tangibles that make it work, but the intangibles of the feeling is really huge. I'm really in a happy place." We're wrapping up here for today, but the excitement of trending gossip doesn't stop here. We'll be back with new surprises very soon. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.